Welcome to our virtual open day and welcome to Heathcote Prep School and Nursery. This is slightly new for us, as you can imagine. We haven't done a virtual open day before, but we're really welcoming and embracing the new technology. Let me show you. So this is me on the left hand side now, Samantha Scott, and I'm the head teacher at Heathcote Prep School and Nursery. And on the right hand side is Nadine Solsberg, our bursar and our co-owner, and you'll meet her a little bit later. Our vision. My vision is for every child at Heathcote to flourish and thrive in our wonderful, warm school community. I want them to be able to journey along their own path, whether this is academic, creative or sporting, and to feel lovingly supported along this journey by those around them. I'm sure that's what you want for your children too. Our aims. So if you take a look at our school website, and I would really recommend you do this, you start to get a feel for the ethos of the school, our community, and how things go about day to day. You'll see our aims, and there's 7 aims that we've listed, but I suppose to kind of talk to you a little bit about them without listing them all for you, I would say that all of our pupils deserve an excellent academic foundation, outstanding sporting opportunities, and a variety of ways to explore their creative side. I've always felt that if children feel comfortable in their own skin and their surroundings, and they really feel valued and nurtured, that they will learn and thrive. I want our little Heathcoteans to feel confidence and a sense of compassion. Our community encourages them to be curious, respectful and inquisitive. We honestly breed determination and resilience, but all of this is through support and nurture. I love it when our children leave us at the end of the day and come to the gate with a smile and a strong sense of confidence. It's an absolute joy and a privilege to be on the school gate to see all of their lovely little faces at the end of the day, and they share everything they've enjoyed that day with me. And it's a really lovely moment, as I can imagine you can imagine. Our school. You've probably got a feel that we're exceptionally proud of our school, and that's completely true. It's a very warm, friendly ethos. We truly foster a love of lifelong learning. The Heathcote community is a strong one. We honestly are a family. Heathcote is a small school where everyone is known, but also that their individual strengths and quirks are known and celebrated. Pupils and staff recognise their own worth and that of those around them. Everything at school is based around our pupils' needs, and we truly put them first, always. No question, no compromise, our pupils come first. That could be from the cosy wraparound care in the house, in the cottage part, and that can go from 7:30 AM till 6 PM. So they have their breakfast in the sort of cottage house bit. They can stay with us until 8:30 when school starts, and then 8:30 till 3:30 PM is school, and then they can come back into the house at the end of the day until 6 PM and have tea. From our 2-year-olds in nursery, we build our curriculum based upon excellent subject specialists and subject leaders. This grows year on year from nursery, from those 2-year-olds that I discussed, to year 6, and this includes 11+ provision. And that increases year on year until the beginning of year 6 when they take the entrance exams. And I'll talk a little bit more about those later. We use subject specialist teachers to support families with grammar entrances and scholarship preparation and applications. It's quite a scary time for parents normally, but we support you with that, don't panic. Through this system, we are highly successful in placing pupils in the right schools for them, whether their skills lean more towards academic skills with 11+ and grammars, sporting scholarships or creativity scholarships, art scholarships, that kind of thing. We use our academic assessments that we take each term, so each term the children have an assessment week, to identify gaps in learning or the need for acceleration and extension of learning. And we use these assessments and this analysis to help us plan for their individualised learning programmes. Everyone's on a different journey and we all kind of need to make sure that we're on the right journey for us. Using our intervention programme for pupils as a tool for this improvement, so they get a little bit more all the time. Okay, so that's kind of our school at a whistle stop. Early years. I'll show you some of our cute people. Early years start with us in nursery, which is from 2 years of age. We then go up to preschool, which is the year before reception, and then reception, and that's the EYFS, the Early Years Foundation Stage. We follow Development Matters, which is the kind of national curriculum from birth to 5-year-olds. And we also have Tapestry, which is a safe, secure login for you, so it's completely safeguarded, for pictures and data about your children. So we would share with you an observation, something they'd been doing at school that day, and you could post things back to us. And that's really lovely because it builds a picture of that child's development and that child's learning journey. And it's lovely, I think, for parents and carers to see all of those photos and everything about them. We also do Read, Write, Ink phonics, and we start that from 2 years of age. That would just be through play to start off with, and then it builds up as you go along. So it might be that your child needs to be moved on in phonics because, to be fair, if they've been with us doing phonics from 2 years of age, they're very ahead by the time they go into the reception classroom. Key Stage 1. Okay, so generally on average, the children at Heathcote are about a year ahead if they've started with us in nursery. And we'll look at data later, okay. Mostly, Key Stage 1 is spent with their form tutor, so one teacher, mostly, and that builds up. So by the time they're in Year 6, they have several subject teachers. But even at Key Stage 1 and from nursery, they might have a specialist teacher for IT and go into the computer room and use different IT programs and applications, MFL, so French, CRE, which is our citizenship and religious education, PE, so they have a special PE teacher that gets the very best out of them, and music and art. So you can see it builds up. Every week we have outdoor learning, which I particularly love. Nothing nicer than spending a morning in the woods with small people learning. And you can see that they have a great time. So that goes all the way up to Year 2. We think that's really important for our children's development. Again, Key Stage 2, they're normally a year or often more ahead in our assessments. So that would be reading, writing and maths. And we'll look at those on the next graph soon. You can see here, these are some of the Year 6s from previous years in the library. So the children designed our 2 libraries and they were runners up for a Times Educational Supplement Creativity Award. So they were really proud of those, you can imagine, and they love it. It's a really nice extra space for them. And we're so fortunate when you come to look at the virtual tour later, we're so fortunate at Heathcote that we have extra spaces that you wouldn't normally get in a primary school or a prep school. So we're really lucky. We use every space for the best opportunities for our children. You can see them in the science lab here. So thinking about 11+ provision, our children usually have this from Year 3. So they would have one lesson, all of the Year 3s would have this, one lesson a week, and it would be heavily differentiated. So if your child was, needed some support with that, that would be fine. If they needed extension with that, that's fine too. And we fit that into that lesson. At Year 4, we do this for 2 lessons a week, so it builds up again. And usually that's split into the English type paper and the maths type paper, because now with 11+, they're worth 50% each. And then Year 5, we do the same 2 lessons, but we also add in an 11+ club. And all of this is included as part of their week and as part of their fees. We use past papers, practices, and we use homework preparation for these 11+ skills every week. And of course, we do that as it's suitable for the child. So our academic results. Again, you can see these on the website if you think you'd like to have a further look. I can understand that. And they would be on our website in our academic results section. So if you have a look at these 2 graphs here, this is reading. So we do these for reading and maths are the standardised test scores. They're nationally standardised. So it's across, across the country. And we also do our own in-house assessments for writing. And we do this every term so that we can track the children's progress really closely and really tightly, because it's very important to keep ahead of these things. So if you look at the reading ages, this tells you an estimate of the reading age for the child. So if they were reading a particular book, would that look like a 9-year-old reader, a 10-year-old reader, a 3-year-old reader, etc., that kind of thing. And you can see our kind of academic results there are very impressive. If you have a look at this one, and I suppose for me, this is probably the most important one, because this tracks a national standardised norm average. So the norm average, if you look at one of those lovely symmetrical curves, the average is 100. So anything above this line, schools would be thrilled with. But you can see for us, if we're looking at Key Stage 1, so the dark blues, we would be looking at 100% above average for reading. And if you look at the lighter blues, lovely Heathcote colours, you can see that Key Stage 2 is 92% above average for reading. And of course that should be 50% below here and 50% above there. So you can see that the line's very much in our favour. They do exceptionally well, our children, and we're very proud of them. These are maths ages. So if you were to do some mathematical work, what age child should that be applied to? And again, the norm average should, the children should be ideally at 100 or 100, more than 100. And it goes up. Eventually, it just stops marking these, and they kind of say, well, they're more than 125, or they're, up to 131. That's the most the tests go up to. So for us, again, you can see that our darker Key Stage 1 pupils for maths, 100% are above average. So it should be 50-50, and we're 100. And if you look at our Key Stage 2 one, that's 96% are above average for maths. And again, that should be about 50. So we're very, very pleased with those, very proud. These change year on year and term on term, but mostly we tend to fall, 90% above average, which kind of is quite funny, really, when you think about what the word average means. OK, so co-curricular clubs. So these would be lunchtime clubs, after school clubs, and we run a range of these. So lots of different opportunities for your pupil to access at our school. From Lego club to chess, debating club to many sporting clubs, football, netball, cricket, athletics. You get the idea, and we can see some of these, bless them. Lots of different music lessons that we have in school, and we have in-house music teachers, taekwondo. That looks like a Minecraft Explore to me. Different art clubs. That's a gardening club. We have an Eco Schools Award. There's some of our Eco team actually doing some of the recycling. And we're back to a bit of drumming. OK, so we have several clubs each evening from 3:30 p.m. till 4:30 p.m. Most of these are free and included in your fees because they're teacher led. All of the teachers lead a weekly club. Might be recorder, like I say, it might be Lego, might be diversity and debating, you never know. These change every term to give the children a range of opportunities and access to all of these clubs. Sometimes we have special specific groups that come in, and that's with a nominal fee, so a few pounds a lesson. So theatre trained, taekwondo, specialist art teachers that come in from outside, that kind of thing. And there's also after school provision and wraparound care until 6 p.m. So your child might finish school at 3:30, go to a club till 4:30, and then they'd come over with the teacher to Twilight Club in the house and have their tea, do a bit of reading and get their homework done until 6 p.m. if that was something that suited you. We also offer wraparound care for Holiday Club. So we do that for 48 weeks of the year. The school is open to you. So the pupils can come in, do Holiday Club provision, and this can take a range of forms. So it could be that we're going off for a woodland walk together. It could be that one of the members of staff is a minibus driver, our school minibus. So they might take them out for an explore day or a trip somewhere. Or it might be that they're doing an arts week in school or a sports week in school. Lots of different opportunities for 48 weeks a year. OK, so thinking about our inspection, as I said, I recommend you have a look at our website, and on there is our recent inspection. That was the February before last, just over a year ago. So we received a double excellent, excellent for academic provision and excellent for personal development, pastoral, if you will. I'm also trained as an ISI inspector, so I get to go to other schools, which is a real privilege and a joy, to be able to kind of magpie their good practice and bring it back to Heathcote. As you can imagine, when you go on inspections, you see all sorts of little gems that you want to bring back for our children because they truly deserve the best, and so do our families and staff. We utilise this good practice wherever possible. Okay. We also have several awards and affiliations for art, sporting, healthy schools, Eco Award. We have an Eco committee that's striving for silver at the moment with this. Our Healthy Schools Award has been renewed after several years. And we also have the School Games Gold Award, and that's been renewed for the next academic year as well. We've had it for this year and we've had it for next year as well. So we're still gold, which we're really pleased with. We all have, all the teaching staff are now Microsoft Innovative Educators. Given the unprecedented recent times, we've had to really ramp up our off-site provision, and we did that through a really comprehensive programme. So our pupils are led in their learning by teachers. So we have a form period each morning with them at the moment off-site. So through the computer, through Microsoft Teams, we do a maths lesson, an English lesson, and one other. So they have 4 opportunities to see their friends, their peers, their form group and their teachers, but also to do live lessons with their teachers, which have been really valuable and really rich. So we're really impressed with those. All of our teaching staff have now gone on to qualify as Microsoft Innovative Educators, as I said, but also some of our support staff, in fact, most of them. So we have office staff that are trained in this, teaching assistants, learning support assistants, etc. So we're really pleased with the staff that they've really taken on with that, and they've kind of flourished and flown with that. We also have a NACE membership. We have an award in NACE. So we're part of that for able, gifted and talented children. As you can imagine, that's many of our pupils come under that kind of remit. So we need to make sure we're always striving to challenge them further and extend their learning and their opportunities. We're a member of the ISA. We're an accredited member, so that's the Independent Schools Association, and that gives us opportunities to kind of work with other schools, to visit other schools, for our pupils to do quizzes and maths awards and science awards at other schools with lots of other children, much larger cohorts and groups perhaps, but also to be looking at them for secondary provision and to kind of support them. We work together to make sure that the ISA school members, the accredited members, are really the very best schools they can be, and we share good practice with them as well. Recently, our children took LAMDA examinations, and we do this every year. So this happens every year. The children have speech and drama lessons. So you can access that for your pupil, for your child, sorry, for our pupils, as an extra provision. So that might be that they go to the Wednesday or Thursday lunchtime club, and they do this with their teacher, and they practice speaking. They practice, that kind of oracy skills, confidence, that kind of competence of being able to stand in front of a large group, expressive tone of voice, intonation for reading poetry, etc. We were really proud of our last examinations. 100% passed, 96% were merit or above, and we had 2/3, so 66, 67% were distinction level. So they did really well, bless them. To support our pupils' emotional and mental health, especially during recent times, we have 3 staff trained as mental health first aiders. We offer mentoring for pupils when they need it, especially if there's been something horrible at home, so a bereavement, or something outside of school has unsettled them, and families often come to us and say, my child really needs a bit of extra support, and that's great with us. It's not a problem. We're here to help you. I suppose above all, whether it's creative, sporting, or academic, or with regard to our pupils' well-being, we ensure that our children have the tools they need for success and the confidence and capabilities to progress from Heathcote and grab this success with both hands. Nothing stops our pupils learning, not even being off-site at the moment. And indeed, nothing stops them achieving either. And hopefully, when you watch our next video clips that they've recorded for us at home, you'll be able to see that. Thank you.
My favourite thing about Heathcote is that everybody gets along, how I have amazing friends, and that the teachers are always there to help you when you're sad. My favourite subject is maths because the teachers always slow down for us, they don't make us rush. My favourite club is Minecraft Club because it's you can build houses. I normally like to build farms and pretend to build cars.
My favourite thing about Heathcote is all the productions we perform and the fairness of the school. My favourite lessons are music and maths. Music because we learn different songs every day and we will learn school production songs. I like maths because I am really good at it and I love the way we add up. My favourite clubs are ICT, yoga, art, speak group drama and tennis.
My favourite thing about Heathcote is my friends, so I have someone to play with. My favourite subject is PE because we play fun and games. My favourite club is Cookery Club because we make things and they are very delicious.
My favourite thing about Heathcote is the breadth of extracurricular opportunities on offer here. Everyone can find their special skill. My favourite subject is maths, as I like its logical nature and its challenge. My favourite extracurricular club is Taekwondo. It has given me confidence, resilience, and a real sense of achievement, allowing me to compete on a local, regional, and national level.
My favourite thing about Heathcote is all the lovely teachers because they're also very supportive and help me when I'm sad. And my favourite subject is arts because I like to be creative and let my imagination run wild. And my favourite club is Netball Club because it is my favourite sport and I like playing with all my friends.
Okay, so now I'm going to hand over to Nadine Solsberg, our bursar and co-owner, and we're going to have a little look at our recent virtual tour so that you can get an insight into the school. Thank you, Nadine.
Thanks, Mrs. Scott, for that. And good morning, everybody. And thank you for joining us this morning. I hope this presentation has been helpful for you so far. My name's Nadine Solsberg, and I am the bursar and co-owner of Heathcote. Just to give a little bit of background, the school started in 1935, and my association began with the school 24 years ago when my oldest daughter started in the nursery, later joined by my youngest daughter. They both made their way through the school. I took over as bursar 15 years ago, and I consider myself lucky to work in this school. We have a wonderful team of staff, a strong support network of parents, and our children amaze me every day. So when the previous owners indicated in 2018 that they wanted to sell the school, I couldn't let this opportunity pass. And along with my husband, we joined forces with Mr. and Mrs. Ablott to form the Heather Partnership, and we've been moving the school forward since. Mr. and Mrs. Ablott are current parents. They have 2 daughters in the school, and they're here in the background facilitating this event. Our main purpose for buying the school was to ensure its future and that the ethos of the school remained. We are unique, and it's not until you step inside that you get a true feeling of the essence of Heathcote. So let me take you on a journey, a virtual tour, and show you around our school to give you an idea of our facilities and show you what lies behind the house. So here we go. So this is the entrance that you would first come to, and the entrance that you would use to drop your children for breakfast club or to pick them up for twilight club. The main entrance is just around the corner here, and you would make your way through to the front lobby. So in the lobby here, you can see there's some photos just up on the wall here. So we have the school photographer come through. Sorry, we've just gone through. The school photographer comes in once a year and does class photos, individual photos, and every sort of 3 years we will have a whole school photo that's taken on the field. Just on the other side here we have our cups. These are our house cups. As Mrs. Scott mentioned, we have a house system. We have swallows, robins and nightingales. Our Year 6 children are given leadership roles, so we have head boy, head girl, deputy head boy and deputy head girl, and some other leadership roles which include our house school sports captains and house captains as well. Just outside here is our early years playground that we'll come to in a moment, and there's an entrance here to our hall. So we're going to whiz round through into the office, and we will see our staff. She says, let me go back. Sorry, it's going. So this is Mrs. Bayliss. She's our office manager, and Mrs. Hay, who some of you may have spoken to, she's her assistant and our administration clerk. So we're going to head upstairs. This is the main house now. So we will head upstairs, and this is where you will meet with Mrs. Scott if you need to. You just go along the hall here. This is my office. As I said, I'm the bursar, so I deal with all the finance, but also compliance, health and safety, safeguarding, and I leave the academics to the experts, as in Mrs. Scott. Just wanted to show you on here. Normally sitting on this chair is the school dog, Frank. He's my boy, and he comes in occasionally, meets the children, sometimes goes off site with them on their outdoor learning, and yeah, he's a big member of our family. There's the boardroom on the left. So we head downstairs, and we're going into the lounge where the children would come for breakfast club and twilight club. So they come in, they do their homework at the table, and then it's a home from home. They can relax, watch some telly, play some games after. This is the house kitchen where they have their breakfast and their afternoon tea. We also have cookery lessons in the house. To the right here you see the kitchen. Lunch is prepared on site from scratch, using locally sourced produce where possible. And through over into the lobby here is our Friends of Heathcote School pre-loved uniform store. They have uniform sales every now and then at very reasonable rates. And we go through another library. This is our Key Stage 1 library. And we head out to the early years playground. And you can see over here, this is the entrance to the hall. Up here is a passageway which goes to our Key Stage 2 playground. And if we whiz round, there's the early years. So this is for nursery up to year 2. They have staggered breaks, so we don't have that many children out at one time, but they do mix year groups and lots of equipment for them to play on. So as we head into nursery, nursery actually occupies 2 classrooms. They're opened as one, so it's a big area. Here you can see Mrs. Mull. She's our nursery manager, and her assistant, Mrs. Bennett. And we head into reception. So the classrooms are nice and bright and airy, and plenty of room for the numbers of children that we have. This is Mrs. O'Brien. She is our pre-prep leader and our reception teacher. And we head into year 1, and here we see Miss Hewkin is our year 1 teacher. And we're going to go through some walls to year 2, and this is currently Mrs. Scott's classroom. She's currently our year 2 teacher. That will change next year. So we head out to our Key Stage 2 playground. It's a nice big area. The children play netball and football. We sometimes, if the weather's nice, we have whole school gatherings out here. Mr. Daniels will bring his drums and the PA system, and we have a little dance out here. I'll just show you this area because we jumped to this a bit later. So this area is, we call our quiet garden. As you can see, the children can play the large games, Connect 4, Jenga, we've got a table tennis table, there's badminton, or they can just sit and read quietly. This block extends behind the Key Stage 2 block. This is the entrance to the art room, this is our Key Stage 2 library, and then beyond here we have the science room and the music area. And if I just whiz round, just to give you an idea of where we are. This is the door that we've just come out of, the year 2. That's the passageway back down to the early years. This is our IT suite, and this is the rear entrance to the school. So let's head into year 4. Again, we're nice, bright, open classrooms. Every classroom has its own entrance to the playground. You can see here in Key Stage 2 we've stuck with our traditional wooden desks. I'm just going to move this up so that you can see Mrs. Broughton. She's our year 4 teacher and MFL science teacher. And through into year 3, you probably noticed that we've got these bifold doors that, for the purposes of this video, we're going through. But normally the children wouldn't go through those; they'd go out of the doors. This is Mrs. Perrott. She's our year 3 teacher. And we're going through to year 5. This is our largest group in this classroom. There's 18 children in this room and they fit comfortably. This is Miss Pennycook. Our year 5 teacher. Through into year 6. And our year 6 teacher is Mrs. Barber. She is our prep school lead, Key Stage 2. She is also our music, drama and humanities coordinator. So she wears a lot of hats. I'm just going to take you out of this door to show you. We also use this room here when we have additional groups. So it could be used for small group interventions or one-to-one interventions. And at the end here is our minibus that takes our children swimming on a Monday. Our year 6 go to Blackwater in Malden, and obviously if we're going out on cross country or school trips, we use the minibus. So going back into the playground, we are going to head into the IT suite. Here. So we have plenty of computers. They have one computer per child. There's enough in each for each class. Sorry. This is our IT coordinator. All of our classrooms have the interactive touch screens here, which all of our teachers have been trained to use. This is the music room that I told you about, that's in the block behind the Key Stage 2. Lots of equipment in here, 3 drum sets, numerous keyboards, pianos, percussion instruments. Mrs. Barber takes private lessons and group lessons, and it's also part of the curriculum. You can see at the back here, we were preparing for our whole school production. And when I say whole school, it really is. So children in the nursery take part obviously the main parts go for our Year 6 children. This is the science area. They perform lots of experiments and things here, which they love doing. Key Stage 2 library you've seen on the other slide. And this is our art studio. So we have our teacher, Mrs. Dines. We enter lots of competitions and we always do really, really well. This lady here in the corner, Lady Rosetta, she won the regionals, the ISA regional competition, and went through to the nationals. So we had to transport Rosetta all the way up to Coventry, and she came second. So we're really proud of Rosetta. This is our hall, the main hall. We use this for our assemblies, for our production, nativities, nursery graduations, and our prize giving, which I'll talk about a little more in a moment. Sorry, I just want to go back to show you the other hall that's in here. And this is where the children will have their lunch hall. So the tables are set out in here and our kitchen ladies serve the dinner, and they have staggered lunches. And this is the field where we take the children for PE, cross country, and our sports day. And I think arguably sports day is the main event of our calendar year. We have the lines marked out on the field. Most of our parents attend. It's a real family event with grandparents. They set up marquees, they bring picnics. We have our own marquee on the other side with all the children, and it's just such a fantastic day. When it's finished, we go back into the hall for our prize giving, where we give awards for not just the sports day, but academic awards from across the year. We are a competitive school, and this is a competitive sports day. And as I said, it's probably the major event of the year. So that's all of our facilities. After this event, we will be sending you a link, and you will be able to have a look at this virtual tour yourself. You can walk through it as I have done. You can just play the whole video, or you can see the floor plan here, and then you can click into each room if you want to go in. So I hope that's given you a view into the school, because you would normally just see the front of this, and I think it demonstrates really well our facilities and what actually lies behind the house. So I hope that was helpful for you. So that's the end of the virtual tour. I am going to pass back to Mrs. Scott now. I think we have some questions and answers.
Okay, thank you, Christine. What's our first one?
Okay, so first question. We were just wondering what social distancing will look like in the nursery, and how the current situation will change or alter the teaching environment, how it will look from day to day, and also are there any taster hours to be offered over the summer? Okay,
yes, it's definitely a challenge at the moment. I'm not gonna lie to you. As recognised by the DFE and government, it is a challenge to separate young children and to ensure that they always stay 2 metres apart. And I would be fibbing if I said we always guaranteed that, 100%. But the 2 metre areas are defined by staff. So we have chairs spread out for them, resources and things that they would normally play with in nursery spread out for them. There's sort of heavy cleaning schedules take place with all of these toys. If we use equipment with the children, so more sort of in the upper school, sort of pencils, pens, that kind of thing, they aren't shared. the children have their own desks, etc. With the younger groups and actually going throughout the school, we have bubble groups, is what we call them. So the children that are in that class, that group, depending on the size of that class, that's maintained. So the children stay in their bubble, if you like. There's a hand washing schedule. We have staggered entrances, break times, lunch times, leaving school. And the children in that bubble enter and leave through the same entrance. So it might be through the front gate or the back gate, and they enter that way, so that they can't possibly be sort of trekking across another bubble. So it is a challenge, but we've got several risk assessments, as you'd imagine, in place. And we've met with staff throughout the first week of us returning, because we only returned fully the Monday just gone. And we've met with staff and kind of checked that those risk assessments are all being adhered to. And we see them every day. You know, we meet with staff constantly about these things. So yeah, hopefully that answers that. With regard to a sort of transition day or a taster session, yes, we can do that. We close in July, so we would be able to accommodate those coming into that bubble. Again, that would have to be done in a very measured, planned way to make sure that your child isn't having taster days on across different bubbles, but we can do that, and we have done that, funnily enough, with a child this week that started. And we also have our wraparound care that I mentioned. So we hope, if everything goes ahead, to have holiday club provision across the summer holidays, because we have that 48 weeks of the year. So that's something we really see as important to continue this summer if we can. So does that answer that, Nadine? Sorry.
Yes, thank you. I have another pre-submitted question, which is how many pupils are in a class and what is the ratio of boys to girls?
Okay, so this varies. Our comfortable number is about 18 for a class. We don't have any more than that at the moment. We couldn't, for our classroom size, go above 20. I believe the school did under previous ownership, but that's not something we're interested in doing. As I say, our pupils come first. So our comfortable number would be up to about 18. We have different numbers in different classes. So we have classes of 11, classes of 13, etc. So it varies on the cohort. Girls and boys, that's a tricky question as well, really, because again, it varies year on year. If we notice that there's an imbalance, so we've had classes before where, obviously something in the water that time, and we'll have, I don't know, 10 boys and 3 girls or whatever, then we start to look at social groupings. So we might group them for different lessons across the key stage. So it might be, let's pretend that a year 2 is boy heavy or girl heavy. So we might mix them with year 1 as well for certain lessons. So for topic, they might do some activities together. For the going off with the 2 key stages going off for outdoor learning, we might group the groups differently to give those girls or boys different interaction. So we can accommodate that, but it does vary year on year, really, across the school. I know there's another question that came in about numbers. We're on about 100 across the school at the moment. So looking at our nursery, our early years reception class, key stage 1 and key stage 2, we're approximately 100. So I thought I'd deal with that one at the same time, Nadine.
Okay, I think you've answered some of this one as well. One of our questions about the school is the small class sizes. Although it's hugely beneficial for education purposes, how do you prepare the children for much larger class sizes in secondary school?
And that is a challenge. We love our Heathcote bubble, but the children have to go into real life at some stage. So we kind of do a sort of cross both. Like I say, we do combine them for things like PE. PE works really well in larger groups. For numbers for teams, that kind of thing. So we have year 1 and 2 work together for that, nursery and reception, year 3 and 4 work together, and year 5 and 6 work together for physical education. So that's partly, how we do that. But also we have other opportunities for the children. So things like enrichment days. So we have a day a term where we come off timetable and we focus on a kind of skills study. So it might be investigational learning, problem solving, that kind of thing. It might be that we're creative writing and we spend the whole day really getting, high quality writing across the day from all of the pupils. So for that, they would be grouped maybe in their houses. So we have our 3 houses that Nadine mentioned earlier. We have swallows, nightingales and robins. It might be they're grouped according to their key stage. So they might be grouped up, like I said, with the PE lessons. They do charity work. The children at Heathcote have really large hearts, and they choose their chosen charity for the school to raise money for every year. So the house groups decide which one they're going to put forward, and normally the year sixes, the charity reps, so that's another role or responsibility that they have alongside the head girls and all that kind of stuff. They sort of present this to their house, and they try and persuasively, you know, sway them to choosing their charity, their chosen charity, and then they do that to the school. So the school quite literally vote with their feet, and they run to different areas of the playground depending on which of the 3 charities they're going to back that year. And then we raise money through a series of events organised by the school, organised by the children. We don't have a lot to do with that staff, we're just there for assistance. We're kind of their PAs, if you like, and they tell us what they want to do for their events. So it might be a summer fete, a Valentine's disco, it might be cinema evenings, you know, with raising money for tickets, that kind of thing. So lots of that is in larger groups of children. We also have sporting events and competitions, and we often go to the local secondaries for those. So we do have a catchment of secondaries, if you like, for state schools in our local area, but our children come from a completely diverse kind of outline, their sort of area where they live. So it depends. So there might be children coming to us from Whittam, and we have to look at the secondary schools for them there. But we work with those schools, and we work really closely with them. We do transition days. I write references. I've spent all last week writing references for our year sixes. We normally do visits, and we have transition where staff come in to visit the pupils at our school. I've been doing that virtually with the pupils in the last couple of weeks, because obviously at the moment it's very different. But we have a really close transition, especially year 5, year 6 to secondary. So it's a really long process, I suppose, but a thorough one.
Thank you. With regards to the holiday club, is it run by teachers or outside staff?
Right, so our staff, we feel that your children deserve to have our staff, and we don't kind of, I don't know, pay that out to anyone else, any outside companies. So the children are known by those teachers, by those staff. So usually it's a teacher with a TA assisting, and they kind of plan the day and deliver the day. Sometimes, as I've mentioned, we'll have a member of the minibus drivers. So often that's Mrs. Salzberg will be trekking off on her precious bus. She does love our minibus, and she'll trek off, and the children will have an outdoor learning day or something. But it's our staff. They know, they're first aid trained, they're safeguarding trained, they know our pupils well, and our children are given priority for that. I think that might be a question later, actually, I saw pop up. Our children are given priority. You get first kind of dibs at that service because you're part of our Heathcote community. And if those places aren't filled by the deadlines, we then can offer that to other local schools. And we do have some of the other local prep schools that unfortunately can't make that provision for their pupils. They will send some of the children to us, and the children love that, making new friends. It's another kind of transition, if you like. It's lovely.
Thank you. If our child has gaps in learning, what would you do to help?
Okay, so I mentioned our assessment process. So we do that every term. The children have an assessment week, and sometimes the little ones don't realise that they are, because we introduce it just as a task for the day. So it's not, heavy pressure, but it does prepare them for future assessments and secondary provision, that kind of thing. And when we've looked at those assessments, we as a staff look at those in our key stage teams, our class teams, and we look at them and moderate them. So check that they all agree across the staff as part of our inset. We have staff inset every Wednesday, every week, and we discuss the children, and we make sure that everybody is fully on board and knows our children inside out. So then we think about what intervention provision we need to put for any gaps in learning. So although our assessments are well above average, we would be looking at the children for us, that although they might still be above national average, for us they're a concern. So we might say, their times table work was not great this time, they weren't as quick as we hoped, they need to increase fluency, and we would put an intervention in place for that. Or with regard to their creative writing, we've noticed that their spelling, punctuation and grammar needs an intervention, and we would put that in place, and we change those each term. So it might be the same child has another additional intervention that term, but it might be that child comes off the programme and a new child goes on. So it depends. Sometimes that's one-to-one, sometimes that's in small groups. So it might be a teaching assistant or a teacher with a group of 3 because they have a similar learning objective they need to to have plugged, if you like, have the gap plugged, and then we revise that, and we're always looking to make further progress and change things up if it's not working. So that's what we would do if there was any gaps in learning, I suppose.
Thank you. And a question from Mrs. Robinson: are children all from the Danbury area or further afield?
No, so many are. You know, we do have many from around this area, but we've got children going out to Billericay, to Shenfield, you know, Chelmsford area. We have a little girl I teach maths, because I know I have her first lesson, has to dash in from Colchester. So, you know, she has a long journey. I guess with independent schools, it's different. You're choosing the school. You're not choosing your catchment or your area, or, you know, saying that you're just going to be able to pop to the local school. So for us, children choose us from a wide range. We get children coming from Burnham. You know, it's a wide range, wide catchment.
Thank you. Do you cater for food allergies?
Yes, we do. So we have children on a medical care plan, and we look at their allergy needs. You know, we have our sort of staff in the office are trained to give medication and that kind of thing. We're a nut-free school because we have several children that have nut allergies. We have a really flexible catering team, and they're really accommodating. So they will work with you as parents to be able to say, OK, you know, we've got this on our menu for this term, because that changes termly depending on the weather and depending on what the children have really loved from the term before. And Mrs. Austin, who's kind of our head of our catering team, will work alongside you, and Mrs. Salzberg does as well. Sometimes I do a Senko, so we're looking at kind of a medication care plan, and we pull together all the staff from our team that need to support you as parents for your child's needs. So that might be that you say, I'm more comfortable with them coming in with a packed lunch, and we understand that, and some children do. Many children don't, because our catering is so delicious. It really is very much homemade, locally sourced wherever we can. I think Mrs. Salzberg mentioned that. So we work really well as a team to make sure that your children's needs are met, whether that's educationally, whether that's, you know, their pastoral needs, their mental health needs, whether that's, you know, support for interventions and gaps, but also support for what goes in their tummies. It's really important.
Thank you. Another question that's just come up: how does the settling in process work at the start of the year?
Right, yeah, so again, that's another transition, and that could be with regard to coming into nursery, and we do taster sessions. So depending on your child, these usually build up. So you'll come in for an hour with your child and sit and, you know, and be with them, and that's where at the moment we would have to, you know, kind of negotiate that as part of our risk assessments. But usually mum or dad come in with their child and have an hour in the nursery having a little play together, and then one of the parents will bring, or two of the parents will bring the child, and they'll have a couple of hours. That parent will stay for half an hour and then say, oh, I'm just popping over to the shop, or I'm just popping over to the tea room, I'll be back in a minute. And it builds up slowly, and then they come for half a day on their own. We had a little child that started this week, and it was meant to be a taster session. He stayed all day. He wouldn't leave until all the other children were leaving at 3:30. So, you know, every child is different. It was lovely to see, because obviously that meant he was really comfortable with us. But usually it's a transitional process. So it depends on your child and their kind of emotional needs. So we would work with you. And then sometimes if they find that difficult, we give them something to bring into school. So it might be that mum or dad say, oh dear, you know, we've got the cuddly bear again. We need to take that into Mrs. Mole, the nursery manager. So they pop in, and when they take it in, it gives them a reason to pop into school. And that sort of, you know, eases that transition. But, you know, we truly are very experienced and expert at this. We can work with that. If it's regarding a child joining a school mid-year or mid-key stage, you know, you're sort of joining in year 3, or you're joining, you know, in spring in year 3 or something, that's different. Again, we do taster sessions, and we do assessment days so that we can check that that child fits with that cohort, fits socially and academically with our school, but also we protect our children. When your child is a member of the Heathcote community, we protect them. So we make sure that a child coming in would fit with our class. Our existing children have to be our priority, and I make no apologies for that, because when your child's part of our school, we'll do the same for your child. So we make sure that they're going to fit, and also, you know, you need to feel that your child is comfortable there. So we do that. It might be that they come for a few assessment taster days, and that doesn't mean we're testing your child. I don't mean assessment tests. That means we're assessing that we fit for you and you fit for us, and that our pupils' kind of safety, emotional and mental, safety is preserved. So we would do that, and we would build that up. So it kind of depends when they join our school, really. Have I answered that, Mrs. Salisbury?
Yes, I think so.
I've tweeted on, sorry. Can't help myself.
Another question which I didn't cover, but where do the younger children swim weekly? I think I heard the Year 6 swim at Blackwater.
Yes, they do. Thank you, Mrs. Salzberg. So we have our children from Year 1 to 6 swim every Monday. So we don't do that with reception, because they did try that at school before my time years ago, and I think they found that the reception children spent half an hour getting changed, got in the pool for 2 minutes, and spent half an hour getting dry and getting back out again, and it just doesn't work. The Year 1s are kind of more practiced at that changing for PE by then. So the Year 1s go to the local pool down near St John's. So they walk with a member of staff or 2 members of staff down to the swimming pool, and the members of staff support them. So we have 3 staff doing that, and it's our own PE teacher, Mr Daniels, that does the swimming lessons. He's a qualified swimming coach, and we have another one on our team in case Mr Daniels ever dares to have a day off, bless him. He recently had a baby, so we have a trained up member of staff to jump in for if he dares to have paternity leave, bless him. So we have that, and then the Year 1, 2, 3, 4 go down to that swimming pool, and this year for the first time the Year 5s and 6, the 6 have always done it, go to Blackwater, because we are a competitive school, as mentioned before by Mrs Salzberg, and we perform really well in local swimming galas and working across our Independent Schools Association teams for swimming. So Mr Daniels takes the Year 6s down there for a bigger pool so that they can learn to do their swimming trials and swim gala times quicker, and to make sure that they can do that with a longer length and stretch with less turning. And this year the Year 5s, we're going to trial that with them as well to see if that helps with our competitive edge.
Thank you. And with regards to the 11 plus, what do you do to prepare the children, and what's our success rate for the children passing?
Okay, so the success rate varies year on year. We are a successful school with that. So depending on how many children enter. So this year, I think we've got about, out of our class of 18, it's our largest class, I think we've got about half of them want to enter the exam. This year's been slightly different because it was larger groups. They've actually been streamed, so they've had lessons every day for English and maths with regard to 11 plus, because they were a larger group. They were streamed off into a smaller cohort for that. Usually when we have our usual class sizes, we have 11 plus lessons each week. So we have Year 3 have a lesson every week on their timetable for those kind of study skills that are important to 11 plus, and that's heavily differentiated for our kind of high flying in that area and the children that need more support and all of those in between. We have Year 4, they have an additional lesson, so then we start to split those 2 lessons into the maths type skills, the English type skills, and in Year 5 we do the same, and then we add in a club after school as well. So we have an 11 plus specialist teacher at the moment, so we have that, well I say at the moment, but we do, and she's sort of done 11 plus for many decades. She has been a tutor for many years. She's worked for other independent schools to make sure their 11 plus results were successful, and she works at Heathcote now as well. So she marks the KEGS papers, she does that year on year, and therefore she kind of gives us a kind of behind the scenes inside information for us to know exactly what kind of things come up each year, and she's able to kind of, although she can't give us the heads up on that actual year's paper, she's marked them for the last sort of 10 years, so she knows what kind of questions pop up. We do past papers and examination practice with them as well, because that's really important for technique and for timing, really important.
Lovely, thank you. How do you manage and help a child who is joining in a year later than nursery, example Year 1?
So if they were to come to enter school and
yes.
join from another school, okay. So I think I kind of mentioned that a little bit before, but it would be, we'd have the assessment day or days. We'd start to get them in once they're kind of registered and they're definitely coming to us and we've accepted their place. We then start to give them transition days. So it might be that they come in for half a day. It might be that they come in for a day regularly for a few weeks to build up that kind of picture of belonging to our community. As I've said to you, we quite often get children that come in for one of those days as a transition and they refuse to leave. We had a little girl that joined our Year 4 last year, and her mum came to pick her up and she said, I think I'll come back tomorrow, thank you. And we had to kind of negotiate with mum that she wasn't going to be starting in January. Mum had quite a long drive because they hadn't actually moved their house by that point. So it was, quite funny, but a welcome find. So yes, so it's just a slow transition to make them feel comfortable, really. And that's where we might be starting to look at intervention programs, because some of the children that kind of we inherit from other schools perhaps might not be as ahead as our children, which is understandable. We've got a specialist teacher team, we've got excellent teaching and learning, as you'll see in our inspection reports. We have small classes, there's a lot of opportunities for a Heathcote child. So we know often that we kind of have to plug some gaps, and that's okay. We expect to do that. We have a process in place.
Lovely, thank you. I think that's all of the questions that have been submitted so far. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I guess really that all kind of remains for us to say is to thank you really for attending this. And if you want to book a live tour, a real tour, we can do that. Even at the moment, we can do that with social distancing kind of maintained and preserved. So please contact us if you have any further inquiries. We'd be really happy to talk with you. I think you've probably got a feel. We do like to chat. So please contact us. We're very proud of our school and we're happy to talk to you. We'll contact you soon with a follow-up, including the virtual tour link in case you want to show your children or have another little look around the school. But thanks so much for attending. We'll see you soon.